Alright guys, check it out. There it is. Something came in today that was completely awesome from Big Bad. And you know I'm excited about this one because it's a new Teela. And it's one we don't have. Because once again, this goes into the reason I love this line so very much. Alright, check out the back of the box here. Teela and Zoar share a special connection, each tied in spirit to the Eternian goddess. That little piece of wording right there is exactly why I love this line so much. So much. This Teela appears to be coming out of the mini-comics. What am I talking about? I'm talking about these right here. I'm talking about the original series of books that were meant to tell the story all those years ago, back when this line first came out. And I think it even predates the comics, because from what I understand, Zoar originally was going to be Teela's attack bird. That's what it was going to be. That was the whole point of Teela having that bird. That's the reason the bird came with Teela. Nowadays, we know, at least by the commonality that's laid down in a lot of the lines, Zoar is the form of the sorceress. But not always. Sometimes Zoar is an independent character, which is an attack bird that seems to fight alongside Teela. And look, this is a younger Teela. A younger Teela with a ponytail, something different. That is not a hairstyle that she normally rocks. She's sword and shield specifically. It's true that they gave her the staff if you want to do that. But look at that. On the back here, she is fighting Skeletor. She is fighting Skeletor directly. And she is not worried about it. She looks younger. She looks a little fiercer. She is decked out in slightly different colors, which I'd like to talk about a little bit. But this is cool. This is exactly what I'm always talking about, is that this line, first and foremost, is avatars to the imagination. This Teela, with just the little words on the back, is a completely different alternate dimension Teela. It's the original Teela that was meant to come out with the line that didn't come out with the line. Because by the time the line actually came out and got moving and things got changed around and things happened, and before long people saw Teela as the character on the Filmation show. And that's fine. But the Teela on the Filmation show is not the Teela in 2000X. She's not the Teela in Revelation. She's not the Teela in the mini-comics. She's not the Teela in the early mini-comics or the later mini-comics. Every Teela is different. Every single one. Case in point, there's this one, which we've already talked about and already looked at, and I made a big deal about her. I like her quite a bit. But this Teela, I think, is geared towards the mini-comic concept. This is the clone of this. That's what I think is going on here. This is the Eternian goddess. And this is the Teela that is born from being the clone of the Eternian goddess. And at the same time, it seems to be that possibly this is too, but taking a different life path. And the sorceress does not seem to be Zoar. I love the fact that this works this way. That every time they release the character, it is ever so slightly different with an ever so slightly mildly differently sculpted storyline on the back. Just enough information that if we were still young and we were still playing toys, we know that's not what we do. We take the toys and then we set them back there and we go, look, that's cool, right? That's about the extent of our play. But if we were still in that mindset, if we were still kids and we were still just looking to hang out and to to check out some cool toys, and we had a friend over, and we were like, I'm going to pick this character, I'm going to pick this character, and we're going to play this game. We're going to play some fantasy, we're going to play some swords and sorcery stuff. This guy's a dark wizard and yada yada and cool stuff. And like, you go and you pick this up, and for you, on the back, it says Teela and Zoar share a special connection, each tied in spirit with the Eternian Goddess. And if I've already got the Eternian Goddess, and I've got this new Teela, and I've got this other Teela, but it didn't say anything about that for that Teela, well then, this is not the sorceress. To me, as a kid who has not already decided that canon is canon is canon is canon, I just want to play, that's what this line does best. These are just swords and sorcery avatars of imagination. Every single character. I know I argue it all the time, but it's so true. However, there's a slight problem with this. They kind of lied when they sent this to us. Okay, so the first thing I'd like to point out is that this is not the color we were promised. Let me put her on the roller. We'll spin her around. We'll show her to you. I got to talk about some things. The color that we were promised was a golden color. It was like a gold color. When you look at all the little promotion art, when you look at the stuff, when you ordered it, the pictures showcased a golden type color. And this is just one more of those things that had you bought this in person, had you been at the store and you seen it and you said, "Oh, okay, yeah, sure, that's what I'm going for, that's what I'm buying." It was not this yellow color. The pictures that they sell you for a pre-order like this are almost always bogus. And that's another reason that people are very bothered and very worried about the upcoming crap where everything is going to be box pictures now. It's going to be a picture of what you might be buying inside of that box. And that's why people are worried, because this is just a pre-order issue. This is just a pre-order issue. And even this is not a guarantee. It is not what I thought that I was ordering. I'm not mad. Don't misunderstand. I think that this figure looks fantastic. I liked the other Teela, and this one is no difference. There's a little bit of color distortion that happened, some chipping that happened right on her chest, and so it's not perfect white. The yellow does pretty well. I like the head sculpt. I like that it looks like a younger, little more aggressive Teela. I like the ponytail in general. I like that her skin is a little more pale too, actually. I think that that's a good thing because she is a redhead, and I kind of like when they play to that strength of being a redhead. You remember in the Filmation, they kept her very pale and red hair. She was a natural redhead, where oftentimes I think that because of the way that Hollywood plays everything and the way hair dye works, oftentimes what seems to be marketed as a redhead is not actually a natural redhead, so oftentimes that gets overlooked. But most all people born with natural fiery hair tend to be very pale, and she's actually more pale than the other Teela that I have, and that's good. She's definitely more pale than the green Teela, but that's not what we're talking about. I'm talking about just the other Teela in general. She's already paler than that, looking closer to what I believe her skin pigmentation should be, and that's a solid in general. Her bird is awesome. It is just simply awesome, and it makes... This is what you bought the set for. I love the Teela, but this bird is what you bought the set for. This thing is awesome, and it's pretty big. Like, it really is. Compared to other figures, it's big, and it has an action feature, so it actually flaps its wings. Man, if I was still a kid, if I was still playing, woo, that's so cool. That is so cool. It's such a little gimmicky thing, but I can see why kids would have been into it when this thing first came out, when this thing originally came out. I know that the history of this bird is that it's another bird that was basically recolored and then put into the packs and whatnot, and that's good and fine. But I can imagine the kids that had this bird back when it first came out in terms of Masters, I can just see how they were flapping around. That is so cool. It is such a gimmicky little action figure, but it's there and it's solid and it works and it's just perfect. Like I said, avatars of the imagination. You just want to fly this big bird all the way to Mordor. I'm telling you, it's so awesome. But let's talk a little bit about the bird, okay? Put it on the spinner and everything like that. It comes with a perch, and the perch is fine. It works. You just kind of clip it on there, and then the bird looks like it's standing there, and that's fine. It works just fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It also comes with battle armor. So when you have the bird all set up and all ready to go, it actually has a battle armor type setup, and then it has rockets on its butt. Like, it really does. It's like, it turns it into like a jet fighter. That's what it does. When it's all set up, it's like a jet fighter. And then it flies and it has missiles that can shoot off of its head and things like that. It is pretty cool for what it is. If your idea is to keep this thing as the sorceress, then maybe it's not as cool. But if your idea is to have like this battle armored cool warrior bird that runs around with your figure, that runs around with Teela, and that you're going for a different kind of storyline because you could pretty much do what you want to do, like I've made argument over and over and over again, the cool thing about these figures is that they're just ideas. They're just concepts for really cool barbarian techno-fantasy ideas. And so if you want a battle bird, you could have a battle bird and there'd be no problem with it. It looks absolutely terrific beside Teela. And overall, this pack is solid. And that's that. That's the Teela Zoar combination pack. It's really cool. Of course, I will be cutting the artwork off the top, off the back. I'll be keeping that. The rest of the box will more than likely be, well, I mean, there's nothing else I can do with the box. The rest of the box will be tossed away. But that's irrelevant. This is a cool set. Literally, I am happy to have it. I have no reason to complain about it. Now, if I could just get a $1, I know that's a little random inside of this video, but man, I want that $1. And I'm really curious, now that I've seen 3 different Teela-esque figures in the line for Origins, I'm really curious. I need to start opening some of this Masterverse stuff because I need to see if the Masterverse stuff, because what I've opened of Masterverse, I love. I think Masterverse is fantastic. It is an absolute wonderful design, and almost every figure that I have opened Masterverse-wise has made me smile. So I'm really interested to see what the Teela characters are going to do in Masterverse, because you know, one of the biggest things I wanted when I started collecting this, one of the biggest things that I saw Revelation. That kind of got me interested. I started buying these figures. I wanted the classic Teela look, Masterverse-wise. Now we've got Episode 1 Teela in the Masterverse. I have the figure. And that I can't wait to open. But man, I am still waiting. And with all this new Eternia stuff coming out, you gotta give me new Eternia. You gotta give me a new Eternia Teela. You gotta do it. Please, come on. Don't do that to me. Don't tease me like that. Give that to me. We've got a Masterverse Beastman that looks like you can turn him into the classic Beastman. We've got a He-Man that you could turn into the classic He-Man. And we've got a Skeletor you could turn into classic Skeletor. And they all 3 look fantastic as what they are, and fantastic when you convert them into their classic mode. If I get Zodak, he's going to stay what he is in terms of new Eternia. He doesn't make that big of a difference to make classic for me to care one way or another, and I do like his new Eternia look. And if I get the Battle Armor He-Man, that's going to stay as the Battle Armor King He-Man looking dude, because I think that new Eternian concept is fantastic for him. I really don't need to alter him back to the classic. But if they give us an Origins Teela Masterverse, if they give us a Masterverse Teela, new Eternia, that's probably going to be another one that I'll double dip. I'll probably end up buying it twice, because if I can make one that kind of looks like the Filmation Teela, or at least looks like the classic figures that I've been buying this way, in the Masterverse sculpt design, fantastic. I want that. And then I'm curious to see what else they'll do on top of that for the new Eternia, which I imagine would be like the snake armor stuff, because they'll make it kind of like the Eternian goddess thing or whatever. But that's enough. We're out of here. We've opened this pack. I think it's fantastic. Later on.
I have spoken. Take what you will from it.